Let us jump on in, and of course we will be talking over this about what these two teams do offer to this matchup.
I love these videos. Gives us something that we've really naturally been missing all split, which is really a look at the teams, right? How they're doing, how they're feeling. And Dumb and Kia, I feel like we keep repeating ourselves with how, or singing the praises rather of how good this team is. Because you kind of, it gets boring. But it shouldn't be boring because they're this good, right? Like, these win rates when they get leads are incredible, but they are also like the dynasties of all the SKTs, where even if they were at a deficit, you always feel like they're a single play away from just outright winning the game. And that's insane.
It is pretty insane, and the numbers that we see on the screen are just, out of this world. And as you mentioned, even last summer was even stronger. We're taking a look here at some of the HLE Life numbers. Obviously, the player of the game for game number 1 up against Nongshim was Chovy on his Renekton. The fact that they can flex that, by the way, is something we'll get into later. Chovy here, the Pog for game number 3, as well as he popped onto the Silas and hard carried by himself in a lot of that game. Game number 5 player of the game was actually Arthur, who subbed in for game 5. A decision that we weren't 100% sure was the right one, but he proved us wrong, came in, did not die a single time, and it was his turn to carry.
And the pressure that is on a player like that when you get subbed in game 5 has got to be intense, but of course, it's about the mid lane here today. It's about Chovy versus Showmaker, and how could it not be? Showmaker, I think, an incredibly strong mid laner, but hasn't necessarily been the main carry for Dammon. That has been Canyon, of course.
Yes.
But because Chovy is in the game, you have to talk about mid lane.
You have to. And I mean, Showmaker's a guy that is also, in his own right, an incredible individual player. I think that he was a bit more popping off last year, but he's certainly still playing very well here, hoping that his wrist is holding up for the playoffs as well. I'm sure a lot of Dammon fans are hoping for that. Some incredible numbers as well. It's hard not to have great numbers when your team is winning all the time, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup here. Chovy up against Showmaker, as we're also getting into some of Chovy's numbers here.
And Chovy has a hidden passive that allows him to just materialize minions out of thin air and then immediately take them. We haven't quite figured out how he does it. It is a we're working on it. We're trying our very best. The Veld analyst is on it on his off days, but it hasn't quite made it. And we talk about Chovy as a solo carrier, but this man single-handedly jungle gaps basically everyone at Worlds, and he's just been continuing that throughout the entirety of the LCK split, and there is just no one that can match him ever. It's insane.
You do not beat Canyon in the jungle. If it happens, it is such a weird thing that we have to remark on it, and even the matchup becomes about that because he is so dominant. Yes, Chovy, without him, HLE Life would be maybe a 7th place team. Without Canyon, they would not have won the World Finals, maybe not even have gone. This guy is insane individually. Even if it's not super flashy, it doesn't matter. He will hard carry the game